Hello everyone, it's Karen Brown here, and I'm going to show you how to use coloring stencils to easily create bright, colorful mandala patterns that we will turn into cards. Today we will be using Hero Art's Mandala Flower Pattern Stamp, which measures 4 inches by 6 inches, and the coordinating mandala flower pattern stencils, which make adding color so easy. I will also be using Hero Art's small blending brushes. The first step is to ink our stamp. I like to position my stamp in the corner so that I can restamp my image if necessary. I like to use a stamp positioner, and today I'm using the stamp wheel for both stamping and coloring. I like to lay out my supplies before I start coloring. On the left is the stencil key, which I refer to often. I've placed my stamp panel on a sticky mat and carefully placed the first coloring stencil on top. Make sure the Hero logo shows in the lower right-hand corner. I also place my first ink color, Splash, on top of my stencil. I do the same with the other 3 stencils. That way, I easily move from one stencil and color to the next. You can see that I have stencil 2 ready to go with blue raspberry, number 3 with blue Hawaii, and 4 with Aegean. And I start ink blending. I find ink blending very calming and therapeutic. For my first card, I went with monochromatic color schemes of blue, greens, and teals. I'm going to speed up the video a bit to move things along. You can use full-size ink pads or mini cubes for this technique. I used a combination of both. So there you can see we're almost finished with our first color. I'll finish up there and then a quick tidy up of my craft mat before we move on to stencil number 2. Hero Art's core inks are great for ink blending. The color continues to blend and smooth out as it dries. I've also had good results with Hero Art's reactive inks. Color is important to me, and I love the bright, vivid colors of many of the reactive inks. Hero Art's blending brushes work so well with stenciling. Today I use the small brushes, but they also come in medium, large, extra large, plus a sampler pack. When I open a new brush, I like to season it so I don't wind up with blobs on my project. I rub my blender on the ink pad and then tap a bit off onto my craft mat before I start ink blending. I also like to change the direction that I blend, clockwise, then counterclockwise. I want intense color, so I add a heavy application of ink. It helps me to hold the brush close to the head when I want a lot of color. If you want softer color, hold the brush further down on the handle. I forgot to mention that I used Hero Art's Intensified Black ink on Deluxe Smooth cardstock. You want a smooth surface for ink blending so your ink just glides over the surface. So as you can see, we're on our 4th color, which is Aegean, and we're just finishing up our ink blending. So this is the time that I like to start and think about card layout. Ah, that looks nice. I thought I would trim my panel down with Pointed Arches infinity dies. I also cut a blue mat from Peacock cardstock. I find Hero Art's card bases to be such a time saver. For this card, I'm using a top fold base. Last, we need a sentiment. I love hero transfers, and I selected a nice Make-A-Wish sentiment that blends well with the card colors. This transfer set is called Birthday Party. These transfers are so easy to use. Just trim the portion you want to use, peel off the backing, gently place on your card, and rub on with a tool or bone folder. I get a great result every time. Isn't it beautiful? I really like the colors. Okay, so on to card number 2. I wanted to tell you about my creative process. My first idea was a monochromatic card, which I think turned out beautifully. But my creative brain started working and said, I wonder how the mandala would look with more contrast and color. What about a 4-color rainbow? If there is such a thing. So, I made a variation using Splash with Stencil 1, Pool Party for Stencil 2, Taffy for Stencil 3, and Creamsicle for Stencil 4. Don't you love the name and color for Creamsicle? Since we've been through the stenciling process once already, I bumped the video speed up a bit. The process is just the same as card number 1, we just changed the colors up. That is one of the great things about coloring stencils, endless color possibilities. And just a quick note about cleanup, you can use a baby wipe or mild dish soap to clean your brushes and craft mat. Sometimes I restamp the image with black after I finish ink blending. It gives a nice, crisp, finished look to your project. Then to finish my card, I trimmed down my stenciled panel, matted with peacock cardstock, and added a friend die-cut sentiment. I die-cut the friend 3 times and stacked them for added dimension. I love how this colorful card turned out. On to card number 3. I'm changing things up for this card, which will be stencil only, no outline stamping. To do this, I use the alignment markers. In the 4 corners of each stencil, I make a pencil mark, and then I can line up each layering stencil as I go. My creative journey continued when I thought to myself, how would card number 2 look with just stenciling, no outline stamp? So I used the same colors as in card number 2, Splash, Pool Party, Taffy, and Creamsicle. By the way, the mandala is a geometric configuration of symbols. The mandala is also a representation of the universe. So here are the 2 panels side by side. I love them both. I added a quick stamp sentiment that is included with the stamp set. I also used my favorite rounded rectangles infinity dies to cut down my panel. And here is the finished card. I love the casual look of the stenciling alone. Here is card number 2 with the friend die cut sentiment. Here is card number 3, the same colors, but no outline stamp. The next card is card number 4. I stenciled some muted colors and then added some hero glitter paste for a bit of shine and shimmer. Glitter paste is quite easy to use. Place your stencil over your panel, then using your palette knife, spread a thin layer of Hero glitter paste over the surface. Glitter paste adds a subtle shimmer, shine, and complexity to projects. Be sure to clean your palette knife and stencil right away before it dries. Isn't it pretty? And here is our final card. I'm so happy you stopped by today. I'd love for you to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the cards and the video. Thank you, and see you next time.